If you're over 50 and you know you're capable of more, but you're not where you want to be financially, I want you to really listen to this because this is not based on theory. This is something that I've actually lived. There was a time in my life where everything I had built collapsed around me. We'd just moved states. I'd closed my psychotherapy practice, and the other business we had multiple problems. And the next thing I knew, I was in front of the executor and was told, "You're insolvent." That was the moment it became real. Not uncomfortable, not uncertain, just real. I remember walking home thinking, what the hell am I going to do now? And when I got home, I broke. I ended up on the floor. I was crying. I was devastated and completely lost. Because you know something, here's the part people don't talk about. It's not that I wasn't unqualified. I was a trained psychotherapist. I'd had years of experience. And yet I applied for over 500 jobs and didn't get one. Back then, no one wanted to employ someone 50 plus who was used to being autonomous. And that was confronting. It was also very humbling. And if I'm truly honest, I felt quite mortified. And then came the other realization. I had to give up my BMW. Ugh. And that might sound like a small thing, but it wasn't. Because it was in that moment I realized this isn't about the things in life. This is about me. And I had a choice. I could stay in that place or I could do something. The next morning, I found myself on the floor again when the phone rang. I don't even remember who it was, to be honest. But they said something that cut through everything. This is what they said: "Get off your ass and do something." What? And in that moment, something shifted, not externally, but internally within me. And I realized no one was coming to save me. I had to take responsibility for this, even though there were other factors involved with the bankruptcy, even though not all of it was in my control. If I didn't change something, nothing would change. So I made a decision. Not when I felt ready and not when I had a plan, because to be honest, I didn't have a plan. I decided, go and get a job, any job, and I'll just start again. And that's exactly what I did. We hadn't lived in the area long, so the next day I went to someone I barely knew who had a business and I asked for work. He was great, he was kind, and he gave me a job selling car servicing vouchers door to door. Let me tell you something, that was pretty damn confronting. Knocking on doors, being rejected, starting again from nothing. At times, I felt absolutely humiliated. But I had no money, couldn't pay the rent. So I kept going. And a close friend of mine of over 40 years helped me by paying part of the rent. And she also loaned me her car. And that gave me just enough breather to keep moving. After that, I got a job in a call center with people half my age, and that was entertaining, I can tell you. On my friend's suggestion, I completed a Cert 4 in security. Then I could move into other roles. Fly in, fly out work, an open cut, and underground mining. My goodness, it was right at the coal face, excuse the pun. Then in an offshore detention centre. Most of this, honestly, was a vertical learning curve for me. And during that period, which lasted for 7 years, it was 7 years of rebuilding, 7 years of doing work I didn't always want to do, like watching grass grow some days. 7 years of what I would call in the wilderness, basically. And it was pretty damn hard. It was confronting. It was overwhelming at times. But you know what? Something changed in me during that time. I didn't stay in the shame of it all because I'd done too much work on myself for that. Instead, what I did was I focused on moving forward just one little step at a time, even on days when it didn't feel good, and even on days when I didn't feel very confident. But I started to create anchors for myself. And one of them was I'd carry a little notebook in my pocket. And every day I would write positive thoughts, especially when I was doing work I didn't enjoy. The truth is, I hated it because I knew that this wasn't going to be forever. This was a phase. In the middle of all this, I made another decision. I decided to run the Boston Marathon, something I'd wanted to do for more than 20 years. By that time, I was working away from home, and I entered a 3-month fitness challenge in the local area, the local gym. And lo and behold, I won it. I was thrilled. I used the prize money to help me to travel to Boston. But getting there was challenging. I was nervous, not about the race, going through immigration. My heart in my mouth, leaving the country, because I had to have a letter from my executor explaining in case immigration stopped me at the gate. God, that was quite shocking. Anyway, 6 months of training, 3 marathons, 6 half marathons later, and crossing that finishing line was one of the biggest confidence shifts of my entire life. And what a sweet moment it was, because it reminded me I can do hard things. And eventually, after those 7 years, I realized something else. I realized I needed to return to my purpose and my passion for being on the planet. Working with people was what I was meant to be doing. But this time, I chose not to go back into my psychotherapy. I chose to move into the coaching arena. I thought that would give me more scope, more freedom, and much more impact. So I started again, this time online rather than face-to-face work, learning everything from scratch, building something completely new. And I trained myself. I used to watch videos on how to do various things, and I would play them, I would pause them, and then I'd take the action. This is how I learnt to do things new, from a whole range of things, just social media marketing, all these things. I learnt with that method. And today I have a global business, and sometimes I have to stop and just go, oh, hang on a minute, and really take it in, because there was a time I couldn't even pay my rent, for goodness sake. And now I'm a successful business owner again. And here's what I know that I didn't fully understand then. Self-doubt isn't the problem. Waiting is. Waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting for the right time. And you know what? That's what keeps people stuck. I see it every day. People in their 50s, 60s, and 70s sitting on a lifetime of experience and doing absolutely nothing with it. Not because they can't, but because they haven't made the decision yet. And here's the truth. You don't need more time. You don't need more confidence. You don't need everything figured out. All you need to do is decide and start acting like someone who is building something solid. You know what? Because if I can go from bankruptcy to rebuilding to building a global business in my 70s, then what you're sitting on right now is more than enough. The question is, how much longer are you going to wait? How much longer are you going to wait? Because it all starts with a decision. And if you're ready to make that decision, you already know what to do next.